I'm 100. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's my star sign. Maybe it's because I don't know what it is, but 2s seem to be the magic number because right now we're looking at the fastest game in the LCO to date, which is absolutely huge with Ground Zero taking this game 1, 16 minutes and 21 seconds. Tally, I could feel the sadness just sort of pouring out of you as they've taken your record. I know you've got a couple extra ones in there, but how good is Ground Zero feeling right now, Tally?
Honestly, like, these are the small things you can take away from games where you should be, you know, winning. It's like these little victories that you can celebrate as a pro player is nice. So it's good that they were able to pick up a victory. You know, unfortunately they took it from me, but stuff happens. But it's nice to see that they're having such dominating performances.
I think that's a big thing, right? Like we did sort of mention beforehand, they're the champions currently at the moment. They got to be putting on these great performances into the lower end rosters. But again, it's still a lot of fresh names, some brand new players coming in. It's their first time, it's their debut too. So up against the best, one of the best teams in the league, you have to admit it's a bit of a tall order. But I really like their creativity here, Skimmy. I think pulling out some slightly off-meta picks like the Malphite mid. How did you feel about it?
Look, I thought it was kind of exciting, to be fair, because I had to deal with some weird and wacky lane swaps and try and figure out how do we actually want to approach this. But it did feel like, even with the nameplates turned off for a second, it did feel like a bit of an uphill battle in terms of we're conceding pressure in every single lane. How do we actually get back into this one? And yeah, it was too big of a hill to climb over.
Oh, look at that damage dealt. Wow, Lemus on top of his game, like you mentioned in the cast as well. Tally's just feeling so good. 16.3k in 16 minutes. That's a K damage a minute. That's crazy.
And 16 kills. Oh, 16's the best number.
Oh my god, we're doing it.
He's too good.
He's too good, Tally.
Yeah,
wow.
I've just heard, because I speak to a lot of pro players behind the scenes, like, and a lot of them are singing Lemus's praises recently. I think that as a player, his development has been very nice to see. I think that he was never considered one of the better 80 carries back in the day, but I think his improvement year to year has been quite insane. And I think his work ethic is also really cool. I always see him in solo queue or streaming every single day. So I think it's really nice to see that like our top players are still working really hard.
All right, then I want to pitch a question to you both. And I'm going to start with you, Skimmy, because this is kind of maybe a controversial hot take. Do you think Lemus is now the best 80 carry in the league? We got some big names up there. Do you think he's the best one now?
I think I'm going to reserve that judgment until I see him go up against Antic and take on Raze. That's always been like my go-to, right? It's been like this cycle of like Raze, Violet, Praedif, Lemus, even Katsuri to be quite frank, are all in that discussion of like, okay, who actually gets in there? I think Raze has held it for the longest time just based on the amount of team success he's been a part of and individual brilliance. But look, Lemus is certainly on his way to saying, take another break. Go off to Europe again, Raze, and let me just keep it down here for you.
Well, Tally, I'll have to ask the same question, and then I'm going to circle back to that question when we hit that series, Skimmy. I'm going to come back to it. But Tally, do you think?
I'd say he's the best 80k right now. I think he's in a really, really good form. I do agree with Skimmy though. Like these players like Raze and Violet, like they do contest him and they also do cycle. They take turns being the best. I think it's all about form, and right now I'm seeing Lemus, play his best League of Legends.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think let's have a look at this draft though, and let's break it down a little bit more and see what advice could we give to Kanga moving into the next one. We had some pretty good picks. I do think the Lucian Nami may have been a little bit more... what's the right word? I think it might have had a little bit more impact. I can see what they were trying to do with Milio. It made a lot of sense into the Nautilus, but I feel like the Nami may have just put out a little bit of that extra pressure. Do you agree potentially with that, Skimmy?
Yeah, sure. Lucian Nami definitely is the go-to for a reason. I think if you're gonna fully tech into like a wombo combo comp, you might as well just draft something stupid like Seraphine Sona bot lane and just fully say like we're all flashing and we're just praying that this works. Because if it doesn't, like that is our one chance. Because they only really got one chance, right? You saw Rifu being dragged all over the map. Like I'm trying to look for that flag engage, and he's either getting bullied out or unable to keep pace with the brand. So it was a losing battle, but. Look, if they're going to go for a full wombo combo, just fully send it, Pike, mate. You love to see it, don't you? So that's what we want.
That's all I want. But Tally, is there anything you might do different on this Kanga lineup? GZ, we can forget about them for a second. They're looking so good. What do you think?
Well, I think they need to respect the Kurak's melee supports. I think he's showing a lot of proficiency on these engaged champs, and it doesn't matter what range champ you're going to play, whether it's the Nami, the Milio, or a Lulu. If you get hit by a Nighthawk, you're going to die. So it's all about removing volatility from a lane where these two players in Lemus and Kurak are showing so much prowess right now. I want to see a lot more just safety in the bot lane, because I feel like Sovereign had a very good game on the Malphite, unironically, so he just wasn't able to really take over this game, even though he had a strong start. Just remove a lot of the volatility from the game because it's very hard to skill check such a strong team.
Yeah, no, I think it's just put on as much of a performance as you can. It's going to be a bit, like you said, Skimmy, a bit of an uphill battle, but whether we can do that. But at the same time, we have some from the fans, brought to you by the fans, coming up right now. Let's see, which OS player would you add to the Hall of Legends? Right now, I'm feeling that, Lemus, but let's look at the very first one and see what our fans have to say. And we got Genmu Lol. Honestly, either one of these OS goats, Fudge Cakey or Victor Han. Oh, my boy Cakey. My boy Fudge, looking so good. Do you think... Yeah, what do you think though, Skimmy?
Look, I think it's fair enough. Like, you're looking at people that have gone overseas, you know, fly the flag, put us on a good pedestal. I think a lot of times OS gets a bad rep, right? It's like, get them at these international events. We don't want to see them, they suck. So I think it's always kind of humbling when like an OS pro goes overseas, ends up becoming the GOAT in another region. It's just like, we're just stuck in our region. But if we had the same kind of like infrastructure and whatnot, who knows? Maybe you'd be the minor region. Take that, LCS.
That's right. Well, thanks, Tally, for not being able to get over there. But let's go to the next one and see. That's just so shot fired. I apologize, Tally.
He's smiling through the pain. He's like, what the hell?
What'd I do? But we'll have a look at one more before we get into it. Mercury Cast, Radiant or Destiny, in my opinion. Yeah, look, Radiant, 100%. I got to send that. Absolutely. What do you think, Tally?
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about Radiant, but I like mentioning Destiny or like Mitch, like really good friend of mine. He is like who I considered like one of the all-time great supports in our region. He had like such a good, you know, growth from where he started to where he finished. I think he had a very good showing in NA as well. It was unfortunate like it didn't end how he wanted to, but I always messaged him, you're like, hey Mitch, you wanna play again this year? You wanna make a roster or something? He's like, nah, I'm too busy now. I'm done with League. So I think he's definitely someone who's deserving of being in the Hall of Fame.
No Destiny outside of the real life, unfortunately, but that's okay because he left a mark, and that's what we love to see as well. But we are going to go to a short break. That'll be it from me. We're going to have these two beautiful cats taking over your screen. We'll have to see how this next game is going to fare. Ground zero, going for that 2-0, or can Kanga cause an upset of the night? You'll just have to wait and see. We'll see you in a second.
See you back at the club, no
Kevy's up, it becomes the Varus. Falls down on the stopwatch, it's Carnage! They're all charged at his command! Oh, the boom! It's do or die! And welcome back. It's game number 2 after what was a incredibly dominant performance coming out of Ground Zero. They've decided, you know what, we're just going to change things up. Our roster, in fact, needs a bit of a shake-up. We've just broken a record, so why not also break a tradition? Let's not stick with the full 5-man roster here, Telly. Let's bring in a new face and, you know, see what we can get accomplished when we bring in Edwin.
Yeah, so to give everyone like a bit of an insider knowledge that I have about Edwin is he's been this high elo player for a very long time. He's also someone that Schoenfly has coached for a very long time, so you could consider him like his protege. So, you know, maybe Ground Zero think that, oh, like, this is a good, you know, angle for Edwin to get some competitive experience because they can't really see themselves losing this game, even with the sub out of Schoenfly, who's probably one of the most important players. I think that they'll still do really well, even will get a bit of practice on the Rift in a competitive environment. He is a very proficient jungler. He plays pretty much every champion I can think of. I know right now he's been playing Amumu every single game for some reason, and having success on it. So we'll have to see if that's something he wants to pull out in this series.
That's a really good point, actually. A fact for them to say, well, this is, look, as you say, a great series for you to get your stage nerves and sort of experience what life is like compared to scrims and solo queue in you know, a much more competitive environment. With the entire Twitch watching you to see what they have to think. Ground Zero, back-to-back performances on the blue side. Let's see if those bans decide to change at all, if they're going to stick to their guns. As it stands so far, everything is the same. If it were to continue that way, Kanga would ban away the Skarner, which they do, and then we would expect a Jhin ban from Ground Zero.
You know what I also love about this, Skimmy, is the fact that Evelyn is a, what would I say, like a rank 1 Twitch chatter. Like, he is in every Twitch chat, he's always in everyone's stream, he's always, you know, has a comment about something, so it's nice to see him play, and we get to see people comment on his gameplay. You know, is he going to hold up to all the expectations he has for other people, or is he, you know, going to crash and burn? So I'm really excited to see what will happen, what he wants to prioritize, and, you know, how the style differs with Schoenfly not being in the roster.
That is a very good point, right? If you can talk the talk all day, you've got to be able to back it up and walk that walk as one. If you have an awful debut, look, we hope it doesn't happen. And people are like, what happened? That's going to be a clip that sticks around with you for a very long time. First pick on the Caitlyn once again. Nothing changes apart from the Poppy ban, which beforehand was a center, putting a little bit too much value towards Tien, and obviously it denied a lot of what their comp was built to achieve.
Yeah, curious to what their answer is. They probably feel like the champions that they are banning right now, they are not something they can give, even though Limus had such a strong game on the Caitlyn. It's something he can also do on the Corki, and they don't want to give the Skarner over to, you know, to the end in the top lane. It's also something Evelyn can play. It's just, these champs are not stuff you want to be playing right now. The Poppy was very hard to deal with. It's probably something that blocks Wudong's champion pool very well. Also, you know, I can't really play the Riven into that. I can't play the Aatrox into that. They just want to move from the game so they have a bit more options in draft.
Yeah, which we don't mind. We want to see a little bit of variation. I don't think anybody, even ourselves, the viewers, or perhaps maybe even the players, want to repeat the same draft every single game. Look, we've seen our fair share of Cassandra. I think Biped in particular, played like 8 or 9 times in a row. Look, sometimes that's what you got to do to get those wins, and that's what's most important at the end of the day. Yeah. But on this occasion, they are going to switch things up. We are going to get the Caitlyn Leona, perhaps, now that the Nautilus has been denied away. And this would seem to be Kurek's next best option, at least this split anyway. Yeah,
I think the Leona is an underrated melee support. Personally, got absolutely demolished by it last night in solo queue. The amount of stat checking this champion does is insane, and it offers that CC that Caitlyn needs, you know, set up the trap combo. It's a very good engaged champ, very good in lane. It's so tanky for absolutely no reason. And I think it's just another replacement for the Nautilus. And, you know, Braid is up, so we're just going to take it again. It's very similar to what Schoenfly prioritized in game 1, and we're seeing Evelyn playing it in this game as well.
I wonder, there's a part of Schoenfly just smiling, saying, there you go, son. I've just shown you how to play the brand. I've got all the got all the farm, got all the kills, got all the pressure. Let's see if you can copy-paste what I did up against the same opposition. Close this out in a perfect 2-0. Do not disappoint me. Look, high expectations, but if he is that protege, then we are expecting good things of him. As the Zac comes in, because he's Sovereign looking very chuffed with himself for picking this one up. Wondering if we're going to see a crazy Zac mid, or if this could just be like a standard mid jungle.
Yeah, this is another champ that is considered the triple flex. We can see it in the top jungle or mid lane right now. I think he's really good in all roles. I have a friend who is very, very good at this champion, and he always talks about why it is so good in these certain positions, and it's just one of the best champs to play into Brand because, you know, he's an immobile champ. He sucks versus... He's very good versus dive, but he's very susceptible to hard engage. And Zach is one of those champs who just appears on top of you, sees you, knocks you up, and he's very happy being put in that position. But Brand does not want to be in a team fight with a Zach on top of him. And I think pairing that with the Knowledge engage is a much better answer to these double carries coming out of Ground Zero.
Certainly is. If it's not going to be the Vibe priority, then certainly this is the next best option of guaranteeing that there's no way to escape the engage that they have. And if there is no mobility in your composition, then you are just a sitting duck as a result. The Tristana also receiving the tax ban, too strong in the hands there of Fighter. They respond once more with that Ari. But knowing that the Zac has been locked in and still considering whether or not that needs to be considered, they could ban away the Maokai again. But for Kanga, it's a case of, yeah, ban anything that Fighter feels good on. We need to get through laning phase.
Something that's also really important to mention, like when you're the stronger team playing against these weaker rosters, you want to remove a lot of these champions who you can't really punish as a skill check, because you're the better player. You don't want people to play stuff like the Rumble that's just going to auto win most matchups. Ari's like a very safe champion, very hard to punish, very easy to perform on Ari. They're just getting rid of a lot of the champions that people feel comfortable on, as we see like double, triple, quadruple mage bans coming towards Sovereign, and we're curious to see what he wants to play, because when I think of Sovereign, I think of like these slow scaling control mages, lane dominant. It's just a bit of a more safer play style where he gets to eke out little advantages through proficiency S-ing and just avoiding jungle ganks, and just scaling into that mid game and being a strong control mage. So curious what he wants to prioritize. If that is the Jace, then I think that is a good answer.
And Jace getting picked in here blind. Let's see what the response then would be from Fido if we're going to go down the the guessing game of what could be a response to it. Wonder if it's something like the Rise, for example, a classic. Look, we always talk about some of the champions that he has in his arsenal, but let's be honest, he's going to play whatever is best for the comp. And with Camille coming into play, Tien's going to be pretty happy. No longer on Poppy duty, gets to actually be a split-pushing demon and group up and do obscene amounts of damage. But to bring it all together, what is the final piece of the puzzle? And with all the mid lane bans, what do Ground Zero need?
Oh,
this is another final pick, isn't it? This could be.
Oh,
Hold.
Oh,
It's done.
Hey, okay, so I'm actually really excited to see this play. This champion is so elo inflated in solo queue. I think it's so unbelievably broken. Why does he have a shield when he trades? I don't understand. Like, right, please remove that. Like, he gets pretty much prior into every single matchup. He is so good at abusing, like, weak early game champions. I think it's a really, really good AD mid to, replace the Tristana, which you would consider a better scaling champion. This is one of Fido's classic champions. A very, very nice pick coming out of him. I'm going to see how he's going to play this in the early game, whether he wants to, play a very lane dominant style Akshan, or he's going to go for those early roams.
We mentioned the Rumble. That's going to be the final pick coming out here from Kanga. If you're talking about inflated champions, maybe another one that can also be added to that build, given that it's going to be so strong in just crushing that laning phase. But how is it going to fare once we actually see where all these lanes would go? You would imagine that would be a top lane Rumble. Once upon a time, jungle Rumble. I don't think we're that crazy just this time. Given obviously multiple patches and given that we're in a situation where that's not a jungle main. Either way, there's a fair bit of ego on the line here. You've just been subbed in. Can you prove that you're as good as you've said you are? And you've just seen your team create a brand new record, winning in 16 minutes and 21 seconds. Can you also show that same level of confidence and conviction?
Yeah, this is definitely a really big task to live up to. I think we heard from insider knowledge that Evelyn did get something because he wants to beat the record himself. He wants to set a new record. So, big words coming out of Evelyn. I'm excited to see how he's going to play his brand. I feel like he's going to have a very easy time in the early game. He has a lot of priority coming on his lanes. Like, Dien has blind picked the Camille, so, their comp works a bit better. But, he has a bit tougher of a matchup. It's just, a lane that is very easy for him to gank, a nice side laner to play through in the mid-late game. Makes the comp much better, so it's nice to see that teams prioritize, comp proficiency rather than just, I got to blind pick a good champ. I can't blind pick something that is better for the comp because I'm going to struggle in lane.
Oh no, Tally, that was a fantastic point and I was so hyped and ready to go, but we've gone straight into a pause. Would you believe it? We love it. We absolutely love it. I'm sure the Twitch viewers do as well, because they say, yes, the classic LCO. It is the Oceanic Pools League. But either way, let's just quickly, whilst we have the drafts up on our screen, discuss some of the win conditions, right? You talk about the Camille. Going to be a bit of a rough laning phase for them. But outside of that, are we expecting the Akshan Jace to be a pretty volatile matchup?
Not so much. You would think that like a lot would happen in that lane, but it's just gonna be a lot of pushing. Akshan's like main strength is like it's very hard to trade back onto him. You don't want to allow Akshan to hit you with the Q or the auto, because what that means is that he can then use the I'm gonna call it the hook shot. He can use the hook shot to like fly in onto you, and like those auto attacks will prioritize the champion over the minion. So like the main thing in Akshan matchups is not getting hit by the Q or auto while matching that push. But it's very hard to match the push when he's like throwing out boomerangs all the time. Mana cost is so low. He has a shield when he trades. It's really not fair. This is why I always permaban the champion. It's just so annoying to deal with as like most mid laners. You can't really do anything in the 1v1. He forces a roam, and then like he gets snowballing from killing your side laners due to going invisible throughout the river. And I don't want to deal with a Fed Akshan in my game.
Well, I don't too. And you know what also I'm really terrified of? The link up between an Akshan and a Caitlyn at the same time on the same team doing double ultimates. Ooh. And you just got these laser beams targeting you like a red dot on your head, and you're like, I'm in trouble. I am in danger here. Where do you run to hide? Well, the Caitlyn says, try run behind that tower, I dare you. The Akshan may be a little bit sad because the damage does go into the turret instead, but either way, if you're in range, you're not disengaging. Like, that is just a jungle gank from, a million miles off your screen.
I mean, maybe one day we'll get to see it paired with Karthus. We just have the full globals coming out of nowhere. I have experienced that in Sulky actually when, the lethality Caitlyn was much more popular. You verse the Caitlyn Karthus and you get ulted as like a mid laner. You don't have any defense items and you just disappear from the map. You just die. You just take 2,000 damage in 1 second.
Yeah, look, it's a thing. It is a thing, and sometimes these players get allowed to cook, and they sometimes cook up an absolute feast in terms of, look, this could be kind of exciting to watch, how will this fare in somebody's hands that's far better than me at playing the game. Look, that's what we're obviously excited for in terms of Ground Zero. Let's just quickly touch on the Kanga Esports comp as well. You see that they've got the Zac to try and punish some of that lack of mobility. The same could be said then for the Nautilus as well. Is the icing on the cake then the Rumble and the Jace to say, well, you're locked in place. We can cook you alive then, or we can just do crazy amounts of burst, so there isn't as easy a time for you to respond?
Well, if I talk about like Kanga's draft in whole, I like it a lot more than last game. It's a lot more standard, a lot more options to be able to play the game. They're not too pressured into snowballing. I think this is another thing a lot of the weaker teams need to play around, is like it's very hard to snowball against good players. They know how to not fall behind, so like you want to give yourself options to be able to play mid game and contest these objectives. They have a really nice pairing in like Jhin Nautilus, which is able to abuse like I don't know if you remember like the classic combo of like Rumble Up goes down into the Deadly Flourish coming out of Jhin, and like that amount of damage just takes you out of the fight completely. Very hard to play against these kind of combos as like a brand. Like you're not a very long range champion. You're a short range champion with abuse dive. It's very hard to deal with poke. Pairing the Jace, the Jhin, and the Rumble ulti together, very, very good way of dealing with Brand. So I think that Kanga have done a good adaptation to, Ground Zero prioritized this champion. We didn't really have a good time into it last game. We've got a champion who can, pick it when it's out of position with no flash. We have multiple champions who are good at poking it. I think Even will have a much harder time than Schoenfire did last game playing this champion.
Well, no way to be put into the pressure cooker and say, hey, play the same comp into the same team, and good luck. They've made some adaptations to make your life a little bit harder. Off you go, son. Go single swim, basically. So we'll have to wait and see how the brand does fare, if it's going to be as dominant as it was last time. Quick update on our end. One of the players is restarting their computer, so we can only assume that the issue from Game 1, if it is that same player, is carrying across into Game 2, hasn't resolved itself. So it's the classic turn it off and turn it back on. I think that's the troubleshooting that we all do, and you do it to your parents, they suddenly think you're a tech whiz with a Harvard degree.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, like sometimes hardware fails on you, like what can you really do? Sometimes the internet, sometimes your computer, sometimes, peripherals just don't work the way you want them to, but we'll get there in the end. We'll get into game and we'll finally get to see like what will happen in the early game. I'm really excited to see how this Kanga will, pilot the early game, whether they want to be very, very gank heavy or just play a very stable, like just full clear and, match the brand scaling. Play around the objectives and not so much try to snowball as hard as they were last game.
I suppose another question to ask you whilst we are on the sports screen is, have you been satisfied with what you've seen so far? Because we always ask, it's another new week. What have people learned from around the world? Yeah, sure, you can maybe paint the narrative that because it is such a one-sided affair, it's kind of par of the course. It's kind of forced on them to do something a little bit weird and wacky. But as a viewer, now that you're outside of the pro scope, does it feel a little bit more exciting to see all this weird and wacky stuff? You're thinking, all right, like let these guys conjure something up. Maybe there's a reason why, they've actually gone for this.
Yeah, there's definitely always a reason why teams pick certain champions. They've practiced this multiple times in scrims. They have an idea of how it works. it's just a replacement for, you know, what we consider Tristana probably the best AD mid in the current patch, but there is champions who can do similar things, you know, in the Corki, in the Akshan, and, you know, the Jace, but it's just nice to have multiple champs who can fulfill the same role, so in case, like, they ban out one of the champs that you had for your game plan, like, oh, when I'm playing against this team tonight, we want to play AD mid, AP jungle. Okay, I have 3 AD mids, you have 3 AP junglers, so, like, if they do, you know, ban you out, you have multiple options. It's just always good to, you know, come prepared just in case. It makes draft more flexible, makes it much easier to, you know, for your coach, for Benvi to, like, properly do his job if you have multiple champs for multiple roles.
Well, as always, Tally, I really appreciate having story time with you, and I'm sure the viewers at home also enjoy listening to this fantastic podcast. But we're going to jump once again to another short 2-minute break, hopefully have everything resolved by then, and get underway with game number 2. We'll see you soon.
He's after becomes the Varus. Full stand on the stopwatch. It's carnage. They're all charmed at his command. Oh, the boom! It's do or die.
Welcome back. We're here. We're in game. I'm happy. You're happy. Kelly's even happier, as you heard by that fantastic woohoo! Yes, we're into game number 2. Granzora absolutely smashed it. Brand new record territory. 16 minutes, 21 seconds. That's the number to beat now. Tally's in shambles. His record that held up for 2.5 years, to be fair. It was back in Split 1 2022. That record's been beaten, and yeah, it almost feels poetic in a way. You were there to be the record, and now you've been here to witness the passing of the torch.
Oh, can I witness the undefeated split then? Can we finally see it?
Is Granzora going to try and... If Granzora beat that record as well, this might be the most cursed split for you to become a caster. Either way, level 1 action at the 1-minute mark. Bit of chip damage into wood on there to make sure that, hey, you're playing Rumble. It shouldn't just be an auto win. Same can be said then for Kanga, as they get a little bit aggressive to plant some deep vision to keep tabs as to where this brand may be.
Yeah, it's just very standard that you like walk in, ward the camp. You just want to know where everyone's going to start. More than likely, it's not going to spot him though. He's going to like clear his top 3 camps and just, you know, by the time that ward there, it should be expiring when he's relying on the chickens. He might even decide to skip chickens and go red first, just so the ward is dead by the time he gets to that camp.
So let's check in with some differences here. A few change-ups in the runes, in the summoners. The glaring one for me is that we've got a Conqueror brand. We'll touch on that in a second, but also with the AD carries, given that a lot of those summoners got changed up, cooldowns becoming longer and so on, Barrier now becomes the new default option. What do we make of both those points?
Yeah, I think Barrier is just the stronger AD carry defensive summoner now. Like, it got buffed a bit, the cooldown's lower, a bit stronger on the shield strength, and Heal is it's nice, but it's very hard to use. You know, against that ignite, it's very timing based. You got to pop it early if you really want to get a lot of use out of it, and sometimes it's just not really what you want to do in the AD carry position. Barrier is just going to be a much nicer defensive summoner, but it is selfish though. That's the one thing I will say. That the nice thing about heal is you can use it on your support, because a lot of the time we experience your supports inting us, and we got to heal them out of position, and that's the one benefit of that summoner.
That certainly is that one benefit, right? I'm sure people have had all their woes of like they've had the autofill support in their solo queue games and they just AFK in a brush. You're like, please man, poke, do something, work with me here as you're getting contested in all of that farm. Is there anything to touch on with this Conqueror brand? Is this some brand new tech or are we just out of the loop?
It's like Conqueror as a rune is just it's just better in much longer fights, and he's probably thinking like, you know, I'm bursting a Zac, he's very tanky, it's very easy to constantly stack on these tanks with like the dots ticking, you're gonna stay in combat. When he does proc it, it's not really going to like change how Brand works as a champion. Like he's still just all about, you know, proccing spells, kiting, getting as many passive procs as he can. It's just all about like his burns will be a bit stronger because he has access to the extra bit of AP that he won't find from the you know, electrocute.
Well, I've just witnessed a travesty on 2 different occasions. I've just seen that Kurek somehow denied himself to a turret, and Tien is just smashing it here into the 1v1 matchup. Is he looking for the dive? He certainly is. Procs the ignite. I think he's got away with it. Yes! He gets the first blood. Flash is matched. And first blood is found for Grand Zero.
Yeah, nice kill there by Thiem, but the one thing that happened there is he hookshots into the turret and he's holding the E2 to react to Wudon's flash, but what happened is that his position protocol, the second proc, ran out when he went in because he waited a bit too long, and he wasn't able to find the execute straight away, so he gets to commit the flash to find the kill, and Wudon is able to trade back the 1-for-1.
Could have been better.
Ooh.
That's all right. They'll take what they get. Kurek says hello. Sovereign says goodbye. And that's just your most average League of Legends social interaction. So back to mid lane farming they go. Even on the top half of your screen right now, taking a Scuttler, getting some vision, and looking to see where Fury may be. So he plants a ward, realizes that he's not there. Top half of the map does belong to them. Does that mean it's an invitation to look at these 2 top laners? Because Wudon has no TP. Tien actually held his, and with the Ignite being burnt prior, this is looking like a dicey situation. The Rumble has to deal with a red buff as well, so he's getting slowed. He's getting burnt, and the brand says, my fire is just a little bit hotter than yours. Back to the mid lane we go again. Fighter in trouble, forced to burn Flash, and he's okay.
Yeah, so one of the things about Zac on the new season with, like, you know, we see mid lane being a much wider lane is that it's very hard to gank from the bushes. The old Zac was doing hooker forward. I feel like Leona's just going to be a bit too aggressive eventually to deal with, and, you know, like kind of navigate this trade very well. They do keep going, a bit of poking.
Yeah, they really just want to try and keep these AD carries as humble as they can, with vision still being there. It's like, well, fair enough, bet. I'll jump in, Zenith Blade, lock you down, force a flash, and off you run. Doesn't matter. No, it doesn't. I've got that 90 caliber net. Flash, lost the vision. Vendrick cannot answer back. He had the full shot, but all he can find is a minion, and that is definitely a feels bad man moment.
Yeah, that's just really unfortunate. I think this is the second time we've seen Kurek do that, where he flashes at the perfect time, which, you know, cuts the vision, and is unable to, like, find a follow-up kill for the 1-for-1. So it's really well played by Kurek. I think this is what Leon is really strong at. The stat checking that happens from a champion is quite insane, and the ability to just, you know, win these 2v2s really easily. Nice to see from Grand Zero.
So, as the dust does settle, 5.5 minutes into this one, 2k gold lead for Grand Zero, 3 kills, 2-1. A fair bit of action to get us excited. You mentioned that mid lane should probably be the most passive of them all, given that it should just be pushing, crashing, roaming, and looking, but that one little inclination for Refu to pop his head in there has certainly opened up the floodgate. Let's run it back here again. Classic Nautilus threading the needle.
Yeah, so we do see Kanga are the one who want to initiate this trade. They feel like they're in a position where they need to trade because their wave state's in a not good position, but Grand Zero's bot lane just has access to such short cooldowns. You know, we already see Kurek, so he come back up, he's able to go back in on Gaben. Doesn't have access to the aftershock anymore, and he's just so squishy at this point, and it's very easy to kill Bolinas to pick up.
This looks really, really bad, doesn't it? Perfect flash from Kurek, just denying it, making sure he's just a fragment out of range for Jin to take him down and make it a trade. Showcasing their class, their skill, and their ability to perform. Let's see what the response then will be. As to be expected for a brand, he'll look to try and prefer those Void Grubs as opposed to the Dragon. The AoE versus the single target. Much more preferential for him here. Level 6 advantage to be found by the Camille. Whether or not it gives him an invitation to try and go for yet another 1v1, we'll have to wait and see. The Equalizer now coming on to match. But 3 grubs picked up, and yeah, Grand Zero off to a flying start.
You have to see what is going to happen here for Grand Zero. They might look for the dive, but it's very hard to dive the Rumble when he has access to the Equalizer.
for it though. This time he will go for that guaranteed hook shot, and locks in place Woodon, who trims the wave with that equalizer, but the damage has been done and the kill has been found. They'll get a trade back, actually taking out the Brand, not the Camille, as Lee misses the focus. That slappy hands brings him together. The deadly flourish doesn't connect, but it simply does not matter. Re3 picks up his first of the series.
Yeah, so we see Ground Zero go for the dive on the Rumble there, which is just really hard to execute because the equalizer does so much damage, clears out the wave, which means you take tower aggro so early. Most abilities, miss onto Wilderness, so he's able to get as much damage off before he dies, finds the 1-for-1. But looking into the mid lane fight, we see the power of Zac. Like, Zac's just going to come out of Fog of War, jump on you. It's very hard to deal with if you're a mobile champion, don't have access to the flash, don't have access to the 90 caliber net. There's a reason why, like, Fido lost his flash in the early game. Zac's gank pressure is extremely high, and it's just going to get better as he gets more levels into that E.
Yes, certainly will. It's going to be enough to try and, force the opposition to show a little bit more restraint and respect in lane. You talked in Game 1 about how aggressive Fido is during the laning phase. And the same can be said, no doubt, for Tien as well, being incredibly aggressive here, forcing Evelyn to go for the flash engage. But he must have just juggled aggro too much, holding it, and just tick down. Yeah,
pretty much as you say, like, they go for the fight, but I think it's more important to look at this fight here. We see Linus, no flash, gets caught out by the slappy hands as Re3 lands those, and it's just a very easy kill to pick up when Linus has no sums.
Easy to punish. The lack of mobility of a Caitlyn when those important cooldowns be at the caliber net, as well as the flash aren't up and available. Happy days then, as Ground Zero will get to continue their strong 2k lead, but Kanga at least showing a lot more push in Game 2. Let's see where Re3 decides to poke his head into next. With level 6 of his own, he can play Bouncy Castle. Sees a massive wave crashing top. Decides against it in the end, which does open an invitation for Evelyn to do a bit of counter jungling and assessing whether Zac could be. And actually, they may just completely zone the bot lane of Kanga away from this wave.
Yeah, I really like what I'm seeing from Evelyn. He's really abusing stacking waves. He's making sure that every time a crashing wave, is landing on the turret, he's there to pressure them, make sure they're going to lose some farm. He doesn't really care about, like, getting a huge CS lead when he can make sure that his team is the one that's getting really far ahead. And that's like something you can do as a jungler, make sure your laners are strong. Because if your laners are strong, that means you're strong. It's team game in the end.
I just know you had a fake smile on your face when you said that. No, it's all for me. I'm the carry. I'm the star of the show. Let's look at top lane as Tien once again takes a battle with the Rumble and says, Woodon, you've had your fun. You tried to go for that counter pick. You tried to really dominate me in the laning phase, but this is my bread and butter. Here's a comeuppance. As we just watch it connect, and then Tien's like, cheers for the jungle gank. I'll take it from here.
Yeah, I think Woodon could have committed the flash and lived there, but he decided, it's not worth it. I'm just going to ult the wave, make sure that even if I die, I'm going to get the resources, and there's no, like, access with Camille to get any of my turret plates, so it's a whatever death, honestly. He's still going to do the same job. He's picked up some gold in early game from, like, these trade kills. I do want to see Re3 putting a lot more pressure into, like, the mid-bot side of the map and just leaving Woodon to his own devices, trying to play the 2v1 with the equalizer as best he can, and, snowballing on these lanes that are much more susceptible to the ganks.
Well, it seems to be that way, right? It feels like the damage has already been done by this point, so trying to go for a gank top side would only basically like reset the bounty on the character, right, to allow Tien to get even more fit at this point. 10 minutes in, he's the first to hit that big item breakpoint with a Trinity Fall. Says, flash to flash, did the flourish, hook, damage done, and Lemus. Good night, unfortunately. Second kill going the way then for Re-Fury. As the bot lane of Kanga is just desperate for some income.
Yeah, okay. We're seeing Woodon once again getting pressured here on the other side of the map. Doesn't have access to the equalizer this time, so I feel like it's going to be a very easy dive for them. Lemus just being a bit disrespectful there. He's been in that scenario many times where, like, Nolus has that flash and he just didn't respect it. Falls down, and I think we're going to see the same thing happening to Woodon here.
Bit of patience here coming out from the ganking members of Ground Zero. Just waiting for that wave to crash in. Tien's pushed in now. Evelyn starts by getting the aggro on himself. Zenith Blade to kick it all off. And then the full combo soaked up by the Leona. This time, there will be no casualties. It is just a straight 3v1.
Yeah, I know a lot of people might be thinking, oh, as Lemus does get caught without flash here, but
wait, whoa, what has just happened there? Vendrick, he's thinking, hey, why did we not win? Why are we losing this? I don't understand. Lemus, you're meant to be a free pickup on this occasion, and Fido says, I'll flash in front of your face. I can get that kill. No chance for George in the jungle this time from to swing and do roundabouts in the jungle this time, as he is simply going to fall on down as the bouncy castle expires. Oh, the happy! Oh, he nearly got it with the happy hands. But it doesn't matter. He's only got globs to try and rely upon.
Oh,
the shock blast doesn't connect. The TP! What is he doing?
Wait.
He really wants this kill. It doesn't matter what he'll sacrifice for it. Yes, the Zac will go down. But the Jace has no mana. He has little HP left. And this is where we get to see the true power of the pull. Is Leona broken? Is she broken? Yes, she is. 4 levels down, doing the most damage. Here comes Fido.
Wow. Okay, honestly, really well played by Limus there to find the, the EQ combo onto Vendrick and be able to trade that in that 2v1 scenario. I thought he was inting getting caught out there with no flash. That's really well played by him. That completely changes the dynamic of that bot play because they were completely outnumbered. They really should have fallen down here. As we do go into the replay here, I think it's a nice poke onto Limus. He's been in the scenario many times and he finds the damage onto Vendrick here, but it was so much. Through the barrier as well. I don't know if Caitlyn is balanced, but that was a bit too much damage. They really try to clean this up as best they can. Flashing forward to kill the support. Maybe a bit of an overextension by Fido here, trading 1-for-1, because I think that the gold going on to Jace is a bit scary. But, honestly, good job by both teams able to find kills in a scenario where it just was a bit messy.
It's a hard one to break down because it just does go on and on and on. Thank you very much to our observers, even production, say, we've seen enough. Let's just see what's happening in the game right now. And I can tell you what, it's pure destruction because either side is picking up a kill. Now, Keurig surrounded by 3 members says, I am pretty strong, but maybe not strong enough to survive this. I'll flash to the wave. And I will survive this time. Dearie me, this game is certainly not going to be a 16-minute victory by any stretch of the imagination, but look, it's continuing the entertainment.
Yeah, it's definitely, continuing the entertainment. I think something to note is that we're seeing all these trade kills happening on the map, but the most important thing is that all this gold for Ground Zero is going towards the end, and there is no side laner to match this Camille right now in the game. So he's going to go to a side, get priority, be able to collapse because he's so accelerated. He might even be able to participate in the 5v5, so curious to see how he does want to play these fights. Doesn't have access to the ult here, but Soren has no flash.
Soren doesn't have any flash, and is he in trouble as a result of this one? Because the rest of Kanga can assist if they leave bot lane to go up towards him. But Tien says, well, it might be too little too late by that point. Tech sweep is there, but it's not enough to get the kill done just yet. Refury and Gaben just going to look to walk away, and Link once up again with Vendrick. But Limus says, finally, I get the lane to myself. This is what I'm after. I have the range. I've got the 6 stacks of grubs. That mid lane turret is about to fall.
Yeah, a little tricky trap set up to cut off the jungle path, but I'm pretty sure you can still sneak through the top there. But it's just something that Caitlyn can do. You get the 5 points in the trap at level 13, you're able to set up that little wall.
Just play safe, Zach. Where does he go? You tell me, and I'll try and contest it because this guy is getting collapsed on every single angle. And there is no get out of jail free card on this occasion. Now I think Grand Zero start to show a little bit of semblance of that mid to late game macro, right? The ability to say that's an important kill, cuts off the the transition between mid and bot. They get 2 turrets for free as a result of that. And we can see, much to your point before, now 6-1 is Tien. He's the one with the most gold in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. He has 2 items ready on Camille at 14.5 minutes, which means he's very, very far ahead of the clock. It's just going to get even worse for Kanga. I think we're going to see the game slow down a lot, though. We're seeing the 5-man reset coming out of Ground Zero, so everyone's back on the same page. The volatility isn't there anymore. They're able to communicate about what they want to do. And, whether that's an objective or a turret, we'll have to see, because I think that as a unit, it's very hard to contest these guys right now.
I did ask Tien during his interview if we're going to see any crazy montage-worthy plays. Maybe this is just the moment for that one. Even with the flash deny, that jump slingshot in by the Zac to start things off. With Tien actually going to get a kill in the 1v1 again onto Woodon. Nobody can match him in that side lane. But the curtain's being called, the kills are being found, the 4th and final missing Keurig, who's running across traps, trying to buy time and hope that Lims will back him up. And he's never entertaining that idea. 4 members far too strong. And why would you? Because the rest of the map is just straight winning for you.
Yeah, I lied, Skimmy. I caster cursed him. So what happened there was, it's a very classic mistake of you deploy on 3 lanes and you don't wait for the waves to crash. We don't see people farming under their turrets, and we walk in as 2. We try to get vision when we shouldn't. We get collapsed on by the enemy team who has more numbers, and we fall down. So this is just a very classic impatience error that happened. You see a lot in competitive play. Very easy to fix. Just make sure you're all on the same page. Make sure that you're always ticking the checkbook before you go forward for these proactive plays.
With nothing more there, certainly dragging Kanga all across the map as to where do we go, how do we respond, and what do we do? Because Woodon has not been able to hold a torch to this Camille all game long. Doesn't get any better anytime soon, and I honestly think if the Zac rocks up too, he takes that 1v2. It's a bit of a dire situation if you try and target him. Maybe you go elsewhere on the map, you look for the Akshan, he just hides in the shadows, waiting for that next wave to crash. And the chaos, the confusion, it all just ramps up. There is the Herald. And that is Ground Zero saying we're not going to be satisfied with our 6k gold lead. We want more. Is there a solo flag coming out? Right, Keurig decides against it.
Yeah, I think Refury definitely wanted that fight, but I assume the rest of his team recognized that Dien had already roamed to mid lane, so there's no, please, I do not want to fight this killer right now. He does have access to the TP though, so that's something they always need to keep in their mind. If they do want to go for these engages, Kindle's going to look for a TP. If they do decide to go in, it's always important to make sure you have something behind you to defend against the TP plane.
They jump on Eve when he says, "Nat, psych, I'm actually in the Herald."
Drive.
Drifts it beautifully into bot lane. Can he hit the turret? Ah, hits the wall. It's a hard one to turn, to be quite fair, but either way, he's got himself out of a precarious situation, and they will continue to attack all 3 lanes at once.
Yeah, this is just the classic round 0 that we keep seeing, like the 3-lane deploy. Have to see if Refree does fall down here. He's getting very low, has access to the passive though.
Does have access to the passive. Can they find the kills and can they get Kurek out? Yes, they can. He's safe for the meantime. Look at Tien! He drives on by, says, I'm going to jump out of this one. Double ultimates connect. There we go. The interaction between the Caitlyn and the Akshan. Triple for Limas. They're diving between turrets that are full HP, and Tien says, I'm not giving you my bounty today. I will stand on the equalizer. I need to get to a wave. I need to hit something. I need to use that Ravenous Hydra. Wood on. Oh, he's absolutely molding, but maybe not anymore. You can see the cheer from Vendrick. Ignite OP.
Yeah, Vendrick's very happy that we're finally able to take down the Terminator. Can't outplay the Ignite, unfortunately. You know, that one is a point and click, so the end does fall down there. We get that bounty going over to Wudon. He is, 3-8, but he does have access to a lot of these shutdowns that he keeps finding on these teams constantly trying to punish him in the side lane, trying to overextend and kill him. So he does have access to some ability power. I think it's really important that as he is the pseudo sole AP champion, that he does have some gold, or else we can see a lot of armor stacking coming out of ground 0, and it's very hard to deal with.
Very hard to deal with was this initial dive under that tier 2, right? So much damage coming on through, even the disrespect to say, yeah, the blobs are there, but we'll just actually target swap. We'll take out these 2, and when the Zachary spawns on a trap, he goes, and he'll be an easy picking thereafter. So, I mean, from the point of this game where we've got triple lanes being pushed, Grand Zero really are just having far too much fun.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of fun with this. I think something to note about how the Caitlyn functions in these fights as well is that these champs that rely on stasis struggle into Caitlyn a lot. It's very easy to drop a trap under a Rumble Zhonya's or a trap under the Zac passive respawn and find these really, really easy kills. We just see the engage going on to Limas here.
Yeah, we certainly do, and he buffers it quite nicely there with that 90 caliber net. TP coming
Double
in, but
TP.
it will be too little too late. It may just be. He's dead. Flash was followed by Refury to guarantee that kill would go in their way, but Vendrick gets locked in place by the Hextech ultimatum, and Tien, as well as Fido, are not letting him out of their side. The rest of the squad actually zoning away both Sovereign and Woodon, and then Refury's taking the long way back to base, but has enough mobility to run away.
Yeah, it's just another we're kind of forced to play aggressively here as Kanga. We need to find avenues to get back in the game. We see Limas alone on mid wave, and they try to go for that engage, but there's just a double TP coming out of ground 0 there, which is just very hard to deal with. Both solo lanes are extremely strong, and if left alone, we saw what happened to Vendrick there. He's in a 1v3, and he still falls down to Camille.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It is pretty rough at this point of the game. 10k gold lead now as we crest over to the 20-minute mark. Never any doubts, it would seem, based on just how strong this Camille has been, that we'd end up in this position. But it begs the question, what will Kanga do to try and respond back? Don't have the luxury, right, of a Jarvan and a Malphite to try and guarantee that potential one-shot, or at least that big wombo setup. And they're going to have to be completely reliant then on the Zac to get the job done, which, to be fair, Refury has been pretty on point with it. But Refury, have we disconnected? I don't see his camera moving. Oh, it's back. Are we back? Because he was just straight walking at them.
Guys, do we let him go, guys? Surely we just let him go.
Surely gentleman's agreement.
Gentleman's agreement. Come on.
You've done enough damage to these guys. They've been humbled on stream in front of many thousands, as the entirety of us will no doubt be thinking, all right, we'll see you back in the solo queue, and we can banter about it all night long.
Yeah, it's honestly very strange if we don't see the sportsmanlike conduct coming out here. I think this would never happen in a normal scenario. Refury is obviously DC'd and walks into the enemy team, so hopefully we do get to see him walk out of here. I don't think they should really commit a chrono break to this, because it's a very easy fix. He just walks away and pretend it never happened.
It never happened. What are you talking about? The game's playing tally, so I'm just continuing what we were talking about before. Look at that! Good guy, Tien! Give him the upvote, guys. Thumbs up in chat. We're happy there. Grand Zero showing fantastic sportsmanship as they allow Refury to reconnect and run away.
Skimmy, I'll play devil's advocate here. He faked the DC to get vision.
Don't say that!
He faked the DC to get vision, but they found him a bit too soon, so he wasn't able to get to the Baron. They had to throw the pause, and he got out of there.
I tell you what, if we're talking about conspiracy theories, we could go on and on and on, and I'll just wait for that competitive ruling post to go out in a few weeks' time. But either way, jokes aside, these are all jokes, guys, don't take it too literally. Jokes aside, we're back into action, and we'll get to see if they can try and target somebody else, because Fido just slingshots away to safety, does get hit by the Conan Call 1.
That's the flash.
Call 2, dodges the third, and just escapes the fourth, but Fury, having found a wave now, does have the slappy hands. Gaben coming on through with that depth charge and a deadly flourish, which has to be respected. Hence he flashes, but the hook is superb. And the tether on the slingshot can't get him out to safety.
Yeah, that's just the strength of the amount of CC and chase that the Kanga comp has. You know, Zach's just going to constantly keep throwing E's. We get the deadly flourish coming out of Jin. Can't play the null assault, but you know, that's unfortunate. They had to blow so many resources to kill that one champion, because Ground Zero is still going to set up for the siege and be very happy against a team with no engage to punish them as they set up here.
They certainly are. We talk about those 3 lanes all being attacked at the very same time. Now that has to become 2, sadly. But Ground Zero aren't going to mind, because they know they have full control of this game. They've got the Baron buff, they've got the sieging squad to really bully Kanga out of defending. And it is very much going to be reliant on the likes of Woodon and Sovereign to try and find those big AoE blasts to trim these waves and perhaps find the target they are after. Limus has been locked in sight. The Slappy Hands once again finding success, but then they go in with a hook. They find only Kurak, but he turns it around because it's Leona, and that champion is broken. Tien jumps in and says, "Good night, sweet prince." Gets it done because it's a free item Camille at 22 minutes. This is illegal. It's unheard of. And look at the Q damage. The Nautilus is gone. Never had a chance to survive. Double for the Camille, and I think we are looking at them ending the game now.
Yeah, most likely it's going to be the end here coming through from Ground Zero. Camille's very, very good at taking these turrets. It's also really nice to see that a meta that is so bot lane focused, we're still seeing, you know, Tien a very, very proficient carry play, you know, being enabled, playing the Camille as a blind pick and having such a strong performance this game.
He certainly did. Really strong performance from start to finish there, as they'll dive inside the fountain to guarantee the ace, pad their stats, maybe just a little bit more, but the game is coming to a close. And the favourites, your reigning champions, back-to-back wins to kickstart their Split 2 campaign.
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with what I've seen so far. I think Ground Zero had a very dominating performance in both games, and that's what we expected to see. But I also think that Kanga showed signs of life, which is all we asked for, really. I think it's very hard to, you know, come in with so many subs and roster swaps all the time and, you know, go up against one of the best teams in our league and have a strong performance. So it's good to see signs of life, and, you know, I hope they can really grow as a roster.
Well, that's exactly right. They've obviously come into this one with a different game plan to change out some of their plays, to figure out what their strongest 5-man could be. Same could then be said for Ground Zero, respecting the situation and saying, well, let's just give one of our subs a chance to, you know, showcase their skill set. I think Evelyn did all right for a debut. Either way, Ground Zero getting the clean 2-0 as we do jump to a break, and when we return, our final matchup of the week. It's Bliss up against Ion.